Hello and welcome to another episode of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France, and I've got Colin here from French Countryside Live. We've both got our own channels. But we all come together once a week to discuss stuff that we want to talk about. Sometimes it's French related, sometimes it isn't. And we actually had something else planned for today, but we're going to put that off till next week.
Yeah,
we're
going to be authentic with you and fess up that the tech got the better of us and lack of preparation, I suppose, if we're brutally honest with ourselves. And
Our guest that we had lined up unfortunately can't join us, and I was so looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. But we will have them on next week, and looking forward to that. So in that sense, we're actually going to just talk about stuff that changed the way that we do our life, and by that I mean we're both from the UK, so we have a set. When we're in the UK, we have a set way of doing our lives and that kind of thing. How is that different in France? Now, we probably will go off on massive tangents here. Probably not.
There's a very real danger.
Yeah, not conspiracy theories and chemtrails and stuff like that. That's for another episode. What we'll probably talk about is how it's changed our lives moving here and what we need to do differently from when we were in the UK. So
So first off, before we launch into that, just want to have a quick recap on the channel. So French Ear Trumpet channel. At the moment, we've got 249 subscribers. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, just press a little subscription notice. That'd be brilliant if you could do that. It's for free, so you ain't got to pay for it. So now our last video, which if you haven't watched it, was what you can buy in France for 99,000 euros. About half an hour ago, I had a look, and it had 777 views, which is probably double what we would normally expect. And I had a look at the analytics, and curiously,
it's on me. It's on my mum.
She watched it 776 times. Yeah, no, it's 100% male and 100% between the ages of 55 and 64.
Wow.
Which is interesting, at least.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as I said, if you could just press the subscription and press the like button, that'll help us out of the quagmire of the rest of YouTube.
I think it's interesting what you said there, because I personally, and you're probably the same, is I only do this because I really enjoy it.
Yes, I know.
I genuinely look forward to doing it every week, and it's one of those. It's bizarre because a lot of people get caught up with the YouTube doing it because they need to feed the news and get the new subscribers and all that kind of stuff. But to me, the subscribers who watches it and that kind of stuff, it's because I really enjoy doing it, and I think that's quite unusual.
What was interesting
is not unusual, but it's quite.
What was interesting as well was that I used AI to create a thumbnail for the first time on that, and I don't know whether that had something to do with the not the runaway success, but the double the usual views, or whether it was a subject matter, I don't know, or a combination of all.
Mr. and Mr. Beast.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So we're talking about the way that
your lives have
changed our lives. Yeah.
Or how you carry out your life. I mean, for example, there's certain things that strike me completely different in France, and I've said this before, but one of the biggest things is, and it's quite obvious, petrol stations. I've said this before. here you just roll up. There's no one there. They're all 24/7 normally, and you just go in, pop your card in, fill up, and you're off.
The only downside to that is you can't pop in and get yourself a bottle of water, or pop in and get a pint of milk for on the way home. But it's different.
You've just touched on another subject there, which is that shops actually normally shut. So there are loads and loads of 24-hour supermarkets in the UK, tons of them. Like they're all over the place, 24 hours. I'm not really sure if I know any around where I live, but do you?
There's certainly none here.
No.
No, there's none here. If you don't get the stuff in the appropriate shop, and that's something different as well. If you want a pint of milk, a loaf of bread, and some paracetamol, you're going to 3 different shops
straight away. Yeah. So this is interesting. Because when I moved to France and I had some friends come over, and they come over every year. Said, would like some paracetamol or ibuprofen. I can't remember which. I said, oh yeah, you got to go for the pharmacy. And they were like, no, we'll just pick some up when we go down the shop.
No.
What you don't understand is they don't sell anything in the supermarket remotely pharmacy related. You'd be lucky if you get
packet of plasters. That's about it.
I was just going to say plasters.
Yeah, packet of plasters.
Literally it. I mean,
rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Not sure why, but I mean that is literally it. So
cigarettes as well. You can only buy cigarettes in a tobacco, which is a shop that would normally sell publications, magazines, some sweets, candy bars and so on.
Yep.
And they may well do coffee, for you to buy and sit down and drink in there.
Yeah.
But or even a beer or two. But yeah, it's I always remember years ago I used to drive this guy who was a retired senior executive at this drink company. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, he had a place in France. This is way before I had any interest in France at all. And he said he had this property that had this big barn, and he wanted some new barn doors. So what you'd normally do in the UK is just find someone and say, I want some new barn doors, and they'd make them and stain them and put an angle on it. But he said, and this must have been 20 years ago, so probably things were a lot even more different than they are now. Yeah,
even more complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said he had about 6 different contractors just to make and paint these barn doors, and he said, they just, regardless of the point in the construction, they just, if it was like 5 o'clock, they just put the tools down and walk away.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even if they've only painted half the door, they just put the tools down and say, right, I'm off there.
Yeah, and obviously I've got a job in a French company.
Proper job.
I can confirm that an actual job, and it's you work the hours and that's it. But there's something else about that, which is not strange, but there's rules and so many rules and regulations about what you can and can't do. So as an employee and an employer, so I drive from my house to my place of work, and there's rules around that, being paid for it or not being paid for it, which is weird. So they can say, well, you generally speaking, if you're not, I'm going to get this right because people are going to tell me off. So I drive from my house to work, and it's about 10 kilometers. So I can actually opt to have that money paid to me directly for that traveling, or it gets paid towards my retirement. There's some weird thing about it. But what I was going to get to is when we work, we get to work for 8 o'clock, but that's not 8 o'clock at the client's house. So we get to work at 8 o'clock and everyone has a coffee at 8 o'clock. By about 8:30, 8:45, we all decided what we're going to do, and we get to the clients anywhere between 9 and 9:15, depending how far away they live. So although our day starts at 8, we don't actually get there till 9:15 or whatever. But
so is there an option for you to start your day at a client's place, or is there just no option, or is it just not done?
No. So there's no. I've got to be careful what I say, but you don't. The decisions on what you're going to do for that day are made at that coffee meeting in the morning.
Right.
So that's different to the UK, in which you probably have it all planned out, and you say, right, okay, well, tomorrow, for the rest of this week, you're going to look at Bob's house or whatever. So you get up in the morning, get in your van, drive to Bob's house. No, because we go to the main office, job, pick up the van, and then go to the client's house. But the client would change depending on what day it is. So that is very different, for sure.
I've actually written a few things down here, actually. So I read an article that said that France is a very rules-driven society. Not actually written down rules, but just like social rules, if you like. So, as an example,
they
gave Bonjour in a shop. So, if you walk into a shop, and you don't say Bonjour, even though you may be really pleasant and nice, you know, through the transaction, the shopkeeper may well be offended because you didn't say Bonjour when you walked in.
This is interesting, actually, and the way you can describe this, and I've seen this a lot, is put it in a box. The Bonjour is an actual thing. So you either do it or you don't do it. If you don't do it, there's got to be a reason for it. The way to describe that is, the way to illustrate that is, so we were sat, and this is another thing that's really weird, but probably only happens in the country, and I'm pretty sure that's true. We were sat in the office at the end of the day, and it's got to be 5 o'clock, and we're all having a beer. So everyone has one beer, and we all sit around the table. But one of the guys, his daughter, who's got to be maybe, I'm going to say 13, 14, something like that, was coming to meet her dad and go on and do something later on. So they came into the office, went upstairs, and he said, the first thing he said was, "Did you see the boss?" And she said, "Yeah." He was downstairs, and he said, "I hope you said Bonjour." And that's a thing, an actual thing. You could put it in a box and say that's an actual thing to do. And it's very important. And I've seen it on the site where the client turns up and they'll spend the time, and go around. So we're working on really big sites, really, really massive, big solar farms. And the owner or the client, the owner, will come up and he will go around and he will make sure that every single technician, fitter, he says, shakes the hand and says Bonjour. It's a really big thing. And if you don't, you said, there's got to be a reason for it. So you've really got to pay attention to that. And I think making sure you say Bonjour is very, very high up. I mean, you're looking at it from a shop point of view, but from a social point of view, you just got
even more important.
I remember being in my local cafe here. It's a small village. I was with my brother and we were just sat there, and a guy walked in and he went around the entire place
the
entire bar and
I've
shook
seen it myself.
everybody's hands.
Yeah.
It's so important to remember that. Even if you just say bonjour and shake a hand, that's fine. Now, it gets confusing. And this is the one thing that I find confusing. Interacting so with a female is really difficult for a man. Does this sound very strange? It does probably sound quite weird. But in France, it's like I don't know what to say. So we've got a lady at work that looks after the office, and she must be about, I'm going to say 20, 22, something like that. Very young, but really good at what she does. Superb. But every morning at 8 o'clock, she comes up to the canteen where all the workmen are, and she goes around every single person and gives a double kiss to everybody. Now, in the UK, I don't know how that would go down. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think there'd be someone from the HR department following around, taking a list of names, actually.
Yes.
They'd be like, P45.
Exactly. So, on the theme of this episode, I found it really strange. And for the first month...
Did you find it awkward?
Yeah, really awkward. I really did. I really struggled with it because I'm quite introverted anyway. But so I was in a position where I couldn't really understand what everyone was saying, and I'm in a like a canteen effect. And she walks in and she walks around, and everyone's getting a kiss. I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I do now?
Come in this way.
But my advice and the best thing to say is be guided by the other person.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So this also applies to tu and vous.
Yeah.
As well. So in effect, she came round and she said, "Oh, bonjour, Andy." And I was sitting down, so I stood up. I don't actually kiss any, I just
I know what you mean, yeah.
tend to kiss. That's the best I can come up with, and that seems to go down well. And then 2 months on now from when I started, it's fine. That's what normally happens. But to start with, I was like, oh my God, this can't.
I wonder if the reverse is true. If a French chap goes to work in a UK company and thinks we're all savages,
Do you know, that's a really interesting, and there's a guy who I work with actually who worked in Australia and New Zealand for a long time. So I'm going to ask him that, and I'll get back to you on another episode and see what he says, because that's a really interesting question. Yeah. So, tu and vous, how do you get on with that?
Yeah, as you said earlier, so you just be guided. So we've got some lovely neighbours, and directly opposite us, we've got a lovely couple, Jean-Pierre and Marilyn.
I've met them. They're lovely.
Yeah, lovely couple.
You're very lucky to have them as neighbours.
Yeah, I keep looking at the figs on their trees, seeing if they're ripe yet. Because last year I got a big box of figs. They was the best. They was the best thing. The fig juice or whatever. And yeah. Anyway, so like when I speak to them, obviously, Jean-Pierre doesn't speak any English, and Marilyn speaks some English, but I try to speak to them always in French. And she said she referred to me as in the informal, and I actually made a point of asking her, "Is it okay for me to use that now?"
And what she said?
She said, oui, d'accord.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, because it'd be so easy to make a faux pas. There you go.
Do you know, on that note, I was there when this is a few years ago when I was working with my brother, and he's in a workman-client relationship with most of the people he talks to on site.
Sure.
And the client came up to him and they were talking and talking and talking, and my brother is fluent and he was talking, and he referred to him as two by accident. And he made a point afterwards of apologizing and saying, I'm sorry. And the guy said, it's okay, it happens. But he didn't say, you can now call me that, use the two. He just said, it's okay, I don't mind the error, but let's keep it professional.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful.
That's exactly what I meant by France is a very rules-driven society.
Yes and no. I mean, for that kind of thing, for the societal stuff, in that respect, yes, I would say so. But other rules that we would abide by, perhaps not. I mean, for example, there's no building regulations, like, as in someone won't come out and check that you've put a correct supporting beam in.
But then if you look at French Air Trumpet, was it 2 ago with your brother? He explained why that is, because the artisans have their 10-year, and it's in the artisans' interest to do it properly first time.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah, I could see the point.
That was a brilliant episode, by the way.
I loved it. Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. We've got to get him back for something else, because he's got so much knowledge that we could pass on.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Definitely.
He's very close to having a new son, actually.
Oh, bless.
Which, in the next few days, I think it's going to arrive.
Lovely.
Everybody's on standby.
Yeah.
Apart from me.
Yeah. Are they going to call it Andy?
No, I don't think so, because that doesn't really translate in French.
AJ, just call it AJ.
That's another thing. Yeah, could do. Yeah. And then middle name in. Second middle name France.
Yeah.
Why not?
If he loved it, he would.
That's another thing. Names and stuff in France, complicated.
Yeah, they don't.
You can't lose your
abbreviate anything, do
they? Name or heritage. There's a lot of rules around that, and I'm not going to speak much more on it because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of rules around that. For example, and I'm not sure if this is true, so I'm not sure whether I should say or not. I'm going to say it, but I don't know 100% this is true. It's something I've picked up while I've been talking to people. It's not allowed for you to trace your family tree.
No.
There's no genealogy services.
I mean, you should say that. So, Joe was asking me what I want for Christmas. And I said, I've always wanted to find out what my roots are, because one of the names, like when my son did our family tree, one of the names was Jardin.
No way.
Yeah.
Because that sounds French.
Isn't it?
Well, we're all French, actually, to be honest. But
Well, yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Anyway, so Joe said, all right, I can do that for you. So I said, find out what it is, where it is, and we'll do it. I had a look online, and they're really thin on the ground. You basically have to send your sample either back to the UK or to America to do it.
That's exactly why. They're not allowed to do it in France, and I think there is a fine.
That's crazy.
I am not sure why, and you can understand my hesitation to go into it further, especially on YouTube, because the comments will just fill up with loads of nonsense. Yeah. It's just my opinion, like all of our videos. It's just banter between us, so, like we're in the pub, for example.
I'm never doing that.
So don't take it seriously. Do your own research, because here's another nugget for you. You're not allowed to wash your car at home. €450 fine if you're washing.
And his nuggets.
Yeah.
So is that in each department, or is that right across the country?
The whole of France.
So you're not allowed to wash your car at home?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
I'm going to have to have a look at that one.
He doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it. Well, so he goes on something along the lines of it's an anti-pollution law that the French have passed to stop the stuff that comes off your car, all the oil, grease.
It does make sense. I've got to say, it does make sense.
Going into the ground, or in France, you've probably got a fosse in front of your house, probably something like that. So they don't want all that wastewater going in there, which is there's loads and loads of station lavage.
Yeah.
Where you can wash your car like automatically or manually, and they're everywhere, and they're not actually that expensive. So that's probably why. But yeah. Now, funny thing is, I said that to my French friend, one of my French friends, and he said never heard of it. I wash my car all the time. So that's one other thing, you know, there are rules, whether they abide by it, I'm not too sure.
Whether they're enforced or not,
There's a lot more, really. Yeah. So, yeah, don't wash your car at home, just in case.
I mean, they do say that the majority of French law is based on Napoleonic
law, yeah.
Or a law that says you can't wash your car outside your house.
No, I don't think so. I think that's more likely to be of a more modern era, I guess. There's some other strange. Right. So Sunday trading then for shops, for example. I mean, that's not allowed normally, except for small shops. Small shops are allowed to open on a Sunday.
Well, Superu and Leclerc actually, and I mean today especially is All Saints Day.
Yep.
1st November, All Saints Day, which is a public holiday where people will visit their relatives that have passed at the cemetery and lay chrysanthemums for some reason.
Oh yeah, and it's big. It's really big.
It's massive, it's massive, and I can imagine someone that didn't know thinking, well, those chrysanthemums are really nice and cheap. I'm going to buy some of them for all my for all my neighbours. Can you imagine?
God, that wouldn't go down well. So that's another thing as well. So I was exactly what you just said. I was walking through the shop and I said, oh, they look nice, don't they? I really like chrysanthemums. And then I was like, hold on, wait. Yeah. In fact, it's so big that the local hypermarket has a new tent outside for just the chrysanthemums.
I believe it. I believe it. Because, I mean, you get a great big, probably about, I don't know, 30, 40 centimetres across. A big end for about €3.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
No.
But normally that would be about 10, 15 euros. Something
yeah. It's just, I think it's economies of scale, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a massive thing. So we actually have a day off work today. So work today, which is great.
Yeah.
Just so people can go and lay.
Actually, I was reading today because I did a bit of research for the event this evening. It didn't take place, but and they was talking about public holidays.
Yeah.
And the word holiday comes from holy day, apparently.
Of course, yeah.
And before Napoleon, there was even more public holidays in France than there are now. I think there's 11 public holidays now. Before Napoleon got involved, there was many more. And and apparently Napoleon was a bit of a workaholic, and he also wanted to show a bit of dominance over the Roman Catholic Church, and he abolished a percentage of the public holidays just because he could.
Of course he could. We could do that when you're emperor, can't you? Do what you want.
It's good to be a king.
Doesn't always work out well though, does it? No. Normally, no. Yeah. You don't want to be the guy at the top. Anyway, so interestingly, with public holidays, something else that's different in the UK. I don't know if it is in America or Australia or what, but we have the Sunday, we have the bank holiday Mondays normally, don't we?
Yeah. So
go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say, so in France, whatever date the public holiday is on, even if it's a Sunday, the public holiday is on that day.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, it would be like the first Monday in October, for example, or the first Monday in May. So.
Yeah, and also when we're on the subject of that, Boxing Day is not a bank holiday.
No, it's not a thing, is it? It's just Christmas Day. In fact, which is really curious. It is a curious thing. Come here. There's more.
I'm listening.
Christmas Eve is the day where you have all the family around and you eat seafood.
Yeah.
What's all that about? Where did that come from?
That is, that is it. And we've done that for the last, I don't know, many years.
Like great big platters of prepared platters of seafood in the supermarkets on the day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, my mum orders it, and we have it every year. And it is lovely. I mean, I love seafood, so for me, it's
me
brilliant.
Too.
But we sort of have a double whammy, because then my mum cooks a full British Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, and we have the evening, which is, so my brother comes over with his wife and kids, and we all spend Christmas Eve together, so they can wake up on Christmas Day. But we have the Christmas Eve meal with them, and then they go on to see other family. And so last few years it's just been me and mum, and we have Christmas dinner together.
Nice.
Which is great. I used to be with my dad as well when he was here. But
yeah,
so we have the English and the French together.
There you go.
And so for me, it's great because I love seafood. I like Christmas dinner.
Multicultural. Look at you getting all multicultural there.
Exactly. It's great. But so they have the main meal, the seafood meal on Christmas Eve, which is great.
Yeah.
But this brings me to go on.
No, sorry. I was just going to say. So this year we've got a Labrador puppy.
Oh yeah.
It's 5 months old at the moment. So I said, look.
It's like a horse.
I said, look, we'll get all the Christmas decorations down, and we'll just throw them on the floor.
Yeah, you might as well.
Save a bit of time.
Yes.
So we're not going to bother putting up Christmas decoration or a tree, especially because he'll just put it down.
Or just stuff around the ceiling.
Yeah. Tape to the ceiling. Yeah. So Christmas is going to be a bit of a bar humbug affair this year, I think.
Well, small price to pay, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, what was you going to say?
I've totally forgotten what we was talking about.
Okay. Welcome to my world.
No, I was just going to say, I think something about Christmas. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, actually, just thinking on a different note there, and but on the theme of things that are different. I had pretty much a full week of work booked in. Something. What's the word? Something that I wanted to have looked at by the doctor came up, and I thought on the Monday I'll pop into the doctor's and get an appointment. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 weeks before I get to see the doctor, so that'll be fine. And went into the doctor's reception and said, I'd like to. You actually say in English, but obviously in French. You actually say, I'd like to take a rendezvous.
Yeah.
Prendre un rendezvous. Anyway, so I'd like an appointment to see the doctor. She went, so this is on Monday. She said, Wednesday, okay? I said, well, actually, no, I've got work. She went, okay. Thursday? I said, no, I've got work. So anyway, I'm going to go and see him on Wednesday. But I could have seen him this week, which is...
Do you know, it's interesting because, so when you get a job, let me just say, because I've just got a full-time employed job. So one of the things is they give you your mutual as part of your job. So one of the things on the mutual is you've got to have a médecin traitant, which is like they don't say it like that. That's British French. That's GP to anyone who's in English, or just a normal
generalist.
Yeah, what would you say in America for GP? Or
family doctor?
Maybe your doctor, basically. So you need to register with one of those. So I go down there and I said, right, first thing you do is go on Doctor.lib, which is an online site to book doctors. Anything to do with medical, just go to Doctor.lib, set an account up, and you can do what you need to do on there. So I thought, right, I need an appointment just to register with a doctor. So I thought, right, I'll have a look. When's the book it for the future? A couple of weeks in advance. This was on a Thursday. The following Tuesday, because they don't work Mondays, there a couple of appointments there. Right, okay, I'll book that in. Went to work and said, look, I've got to go and see the doctor. Oh yeah, just do what you want. I'm not interested. So I was like, okay, right. So I went to see the doctor. Doctor goes, right, yeah, okay, come in. Right, we're going to send you for a blood test. I went, why? And he goes, well, when was the last time you saw a doctor? I said, it's got to be about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Who knows what's gone on?
Anything could have happened.
Yeah, let's get you in for a blood test, this, that, and the other. And I was like, whoa. I just want to register with the doctor. There's nothing wrong with me. Well, I'll be the judge of that kind of thing.
Who's the doctor?
I was like, oh, okay. So he gave me this thing. It was like a prescription for a blood test. And I said, look, I'm from England. This doesn't make no sense to me. What do I do with this? And he went, well, it's just like England, isn't it? And I went, no, it's not, no. What do I do with this? And he goes, oh, well, you just make an appointment with a laboratoire.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so how does that work? Oh, just go on Doctor.lib, and there's no bedside manner in France, none whatsoever. So I was like, okay. So I went back home and I was like, well, how long is this going to take? So I went on Doctor.lib, and like you could pick any quarter of an hour appointment between 10 a.m. till 11:45 the following day, and then after that, any time you wanted. And I was like, okay. So I picked that, drove down there, and they went, oh, right, okay, yeah, we'll do your blood test. And I said, when am I going to use things like diabetes and just all the stuff you should be checked for regularly?
All the usual suspects.
This is all within 48 hours of turning up at this doctor's place. And then she went, yeah, so we'll probably have most of the results tonight, the rest probably tomorrow. And I was like, oh, anyway.
And you can get your results on email, can't you?
Yeah, so you get your results. You take responsibility for your health. So they send it to you. They do send it to the doctor as well. And you can upload it and put it online as well for future reference. But generally speaking, you take ownership of your own stuff. So yeah, about 5 o'clock that evening, just finished work, bang, email, all the results, done. Don't know what they mean. No idea. The doctor said, if there's a problem, I'll ring you. And that was a couple of weeks ago, so.
All good, yeah. So
it's all good.
What was I going to say about Doctor.lib? Now, Doctor.lib is spelled Doctor.lib.
Yeah.
So the reason that's set up the way it is because unlike certainly in the UK, you go and see your GP and he says you need to see a specialist, and he would fill in the appropriate paperwork, send it off, and then at some indeterminate time you would get a letter from the hospital saying come and see the specialist, and 18 months time you'd go and see the specialist. So completely different in France. So you go and see the GP. He says you need to see this, a particular specialist in, I don't know, fingernails, and you would then go on Doctor.lib, find a specialist in fingernails, and you would be able to book an appointment directly with him in no time at all. So that's the way that works.
So I'll give you another. I mean, we could. The problem is the British get really wound up about talking about the health service because it's so different to what we're used to. But I'm going to say this, and then we could probably move on to something else. But my brother had a problem with his hands, and there's a guy, an actor called Bill Nighy. Do you know him?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So he has a problem where his hands are like that. He can't do that.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch his movies, you can see that that's the case. And it's an actual condition where the tendons or something in his hand don't work properly or don't retract.
Yeah, which is a bit of an issue for a Tyler, isn't it, really?
So my brother, not only that, he's an excellent, and I mean excellent, guitar player to a level where he was actually a guitar player in a band that went to Reading Festival and were playing on the Radio 1 soundstage. I mean, he was really, really good. But for a guitar player, for his hands to be doing this all the time and then eventually get into this, and he just generally can't put them flat. So he went to his GP, and his GP said, yeah, you definitely need this surgery, but it's available. And the best hand surgeon in Europe actually is in Nantes.
Oh,
and my brother was like, that's great, because that's about an hour and a half from where he lives. So he was over the moon. So what he did was he went for the consultation really quickly, had a look at it, and said, yep, you definitely need this operation. And then my brother said, yeah, we'll go for this date, set up the date. And then he rang him up about a week before he was due to have the operation and said, you know what, I can't make the operation because, and there was an actual reason he couldn't do it. And they went, yeah, no problem. When do you want to come in? We can do it next week, the week after. You tell us when's best for you, and we'll fit you in. Do you want to stay overnight? And that is a big question. And we might get onto that in a different episode, but it affects your mutual as well. So if you're staying overnight, some mutuals won't pay, will pay. So I think we'll do some more research on that.
That sounds good.
My brother said, I'd rather go on the Thursday next week than the Tuesday this week. And they went, yeah, no problem. It's great. Come in. But it's no worries. So, and it all got done. And he actually remember saying the surgeon looked at his hand afterwards and smiled and went, I've done a good job there. Yeah, so he knew that it was good. And honestly, today...
Did he shake his hand? Did he shake his hand?
That's it, yeah. Nice one. But now his hands are like that. Just not that because I broke that, but really flat. Really, really good, yeah. Top service. I can't
fault him.
And that is different. I mean, so like you say in the UK, that would be completely different.
Yeah.
So what other thing? Moving on from, because we can do health service all the time. So
in danger of gloating, aren't we?
No, I wouldn't say gloating, because I reckon there's more advancement.
Yeah, mate.
It's
all right, just bring him in here. Yeah. Charlie's in the house. Hang on.
Let's have a look.
Charlie. You're going to put him in the cage. I'm going to put him in the cage. Hang on, wait there a sec. Charlie.
Can't make this up, can you? Literally. We're live.
So, hang on. There we go. Come here, Charlie.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. He's a proper Labrador now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's heavy.
I can imagine.
Oh, there we go. So.
It's interesting. So let's talk about pets. We did do an episode actually on pets, didn't we? And that was before you had Charlie. So how's that different? What do you reckon about vets bills? Are they different?
Well, yeah, it's very different because I would guess that would be affected by where you live in France. So if you live in a more rural community, there's a lot more farm animals. So I'm out of breath. So there's a lot more farm animals. So there's a lot more vets.
Yeah.
In most towns and villages, you'll have at least 2 vets. So that I think the competition keeps the prices down. So, for example, the consultation fee just to see the vet, just to get in front of the vet, it's normally about €30, but the treatment after that is really cheap. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Charlie had a parasite because Charlie had a parasite because he's been licking toads. So, sucking frogs or something like that. Something to do with amphibians. And so, as I took him to the vet, and we had to give a sample of his number 2, and they sent it off to a lab, and he got the appropriate treatment.
He's eating the chair, you know that.
Charlie, don't eat the chair, mate. Yeah, so he got the appropriate treatment, and he had an injection of some drug for that as well, and the whole bill comes to about €65.
Yeah, it's super cheap. Like
it's just
when you
cheap
compare it, yeah, I had some really bad experiences with British vets, and yeah, Anyway, I don't want to go into it because it's quite bad. But,
all right.
Come on, then. The grass is wet.
Okay. Oh dear. Problems with a broadcaster, right?
Exactly. So yeah, the prices generally speaking are a lot less. And give you an example, so for the pet passport, the vet said to me, "Look, do you want rabies on the card?" And I was like, "I'm not sure because she's not going to go anywhere. Why do I really need that?" And then I said, okay. And then she said, "Well," and this is interesting, in France, hotels and some campsites won't allow your dog on unless they've got rabies vaccine. And I said, okay, well, in that case, you never know. We might want to go. How much is it? She went, €20.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, right, okay, yes, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I was thinking British prices,
yeah,
200, but no, it's cheap as chips. And then she went back this year for annual vaccinations.
Yeah.
Standard, like about €40 or something like that. But that include the vaccine, and then they said, well, the vaccine we're giving her is actually now for rabies is now 3 years, so you don't need to do that again for another 3 years. So it's a new, I don't know, serum or what.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I was really happy with that. So it's even cheaper.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, no,
also, something's gone.
No, go on.
So thinking about that opposite, that is the MOT station for the car.
Yeah, of course.
Petrol Technique, which
I just had ours done on the Peugeot.
So it's not like the UK. The UK is every year. In France, it's every 2 years. Except, I can hear no background. Except if you have a commercial vehicle. So if you have a van or 4x4, like a Ranger or something like that, you have to have. So you have a control technique every 2 years, but in the meantime, you have to have a pollution check on every so the middle year, if you see what I mean.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they check for oil leaks and emissions. But it only costs about €20 or something. But I just had mine done. He passed.
On the Ranger.
Now, yeah. But that's an old. It's nearly 20 years old now. But yeah.
That old boots,
yeah, because it's a Mazda. So
yeah,
it's not really a Ford. If it's a Ford, it'd be in the Ford. Right now. It'd be done. So yeah. So that's quite different, the control technique. And up until recently, motorbikes, you never had to add an MOT or control technique.
Yeah, that goes with the sans permis cars as well. So the cars you can drive without a driving license. And there was one, I think I said about it last week, but there was one in the Leclerc car park.
Smashed up.
It was just held together with bits of string and staples and rivets. The top of the door was hanging off. There was only 2 wheel nuts on one of the wheels.
Yeah. So
I was gonna film it, and I was gonna film because people wouldn't believe it, in the supermarket. But yeah.
So for people who don't realise, the sans permis are a small car that you can drive without a license.
It's it's a 2-stroke. Let me just shut the door. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm done. I was going to put a
Sorry. Yeah, they're a little 2-stroke engine. I think they go. Was it 30
kilometers?
Is it 30 kilometers an hour motorways? So the curious thing about them is that you can get done for drink driving, and then go and buy one of those and just drive around.
You can, yeah. That is something completely different to what we're used to. If you're banned, you're banned, and that's it. But here you can just go and buy one of these crazy contraptions. So there's a guy in my village who had one of these, and he couldn't drive one of them anymore for whatever reason. So he got his what do you call it? Ride-on lawnmower.
Yeah.
Took the
you said about that. Yeah.
Took that away, built a canopy over the top, put some spotlights on it, and he now drives that around the village. Crazy.
How French is that?
What brings me on to a point, and this is quite interesting. So where I am in the middle of the countryside, it's very much live and let live, in that if you decide you want to do something one day, no one's going to grass you up. And I mean by that, like whatever you're doing in your garden or whatever you want to do at your house, nobody's going to bother you with it. So I had, when I lived back in the UK, one of my hedges, I used to cut it religiously, and then I went away on holiday, and I came back to a letter from the council, saying one of your neighbours has complained that your hedge is like poking out onto the footpath or whatever. I was like, well, why didn't they just come and ask me, or talk to me? Or I mean, it's obvious I wasn't there because there was no cars there. No one was there for a couple of weeks. I was only in holiday. Anyway, they complained to the council. The council had threatened to come and cut it. Anyway, so I went to the council and I drew up the plans and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out it's actually a hedge maintained by the council, but they've never done it.
No.
So I said to them, right, okay, off you go. You go and maintain it then. So from then on, they maintain it. But I mean, do I have to really do it? But here, it's great. I can just build what I want, do what I want. As long as I don't annoy the neighbours, they don't care.
No.
And I can leave all my stuff out and no one's going to nick it as well.
No, that's right. Yeah, I mean, when you see roadworks.
Oh, yeah.
Come 12 o'clock, people working there just put their kit down on the road and just drive off in one of the vans and leave all their kit on the road.
So let me bring you to this point. Restaurant ouvrier.
Sorry, restaurant.
Ouvrier, which means
open, yeah.
workman's restaurant.
Yes, okay.
You don't get that in England.
No.
So in France, you get, right, it's not quite right to say you get paid for, but you get an allowance for your midday meal normally, and they pay it, and it's called a panier. So normally it's €10 a day, something like that, and you get paid it. So some employers run it differently, but for me, it's like if I'm not working at the base, I go out and do on site or whatever, and we find a restaurant, we go there, and whatever we have there is free. The employer pays for it. If I'm back at the base or where I work normally, they have a card, and I go down to the local supermarket, and I can buy my lunch there, and it's all paid for. So restaurant ouvriers are set up to offer a limited menu. So you'll probably get 2 starters choices, 2 main choices, and then a couple of dessert choices.
Yeah.
And that will all be for between 13 and 15 euros, something like that. And the food is normally brilliant, normally really, really good, because they are really fussy about their food here. Super fussy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And all the meals out I've had so far in a few months have been amazing. They've all been really good. But that doesn't really exist where we come from. We have the chain stores, so we have like Pret, McDonald's, and stuff like that.
They're really expensive as well.
But you don't normally get an independent family-run business, and in a village there might be 3 or 4 of them here. But in England, I don't.
I think the pandemic closed a lot of them, but yeah, because there used to be a really, really good one in La Chateau where we used to live, and but that shut during the pandemic and didn't reopen, which is a crying shame because that was fantastic. It was just it was one fella and his wife. He was the chef. She was front of house. They had about 20 covers, I suppose, and the food was out of this world.
Yeah,
so good.
Not expensive at all.
No.
But the way they do that is they limit the menu. So you've got like 2 or 3 starters, maybe 2 probably, 2 or 3 mains, and that's it.
Yeah. There was also a well, there still is, as far as I know, a restaurant in La Chateau, right in the centre there. It was an auberge, which I'm sure you know is a restaurant with rooms.
Yep.
And
it was probably, what was it? An inn probably. Inn?
Yeah, I suppose you would. Yeah, a restaurant with rooms. Yeah. I suppose the difference in the UK would be that it's rooms with a restaurant. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So this place was a grill. It was run by a lady called Jocelyn, and she had about 20 covers in this big room, and she had a great big charcoal grill on one side, and the menu was all meat.
Of course.
So you'd say, can I have the lamb cutlets? And she'd go off and she'd come back with a plate with the raw lamb cutlets and show you. Okay, yeah, lovely. And then she'd cook them on the charcoal grill in front of her. And you know, she had some plates made up with a jacket potato and a bit of salad and this and that. And it's just fantastic food.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be said, food is so important to the French. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's so. There've been massive discussions amongst the team where we're working. Um,
That's
where,
really interesting what you just said there, because I was just going to say that in doing the research for what we thought was going to happen this evening,
yeah,
there was talking about in one of these articles I read, they was talking about the fact that they was talking about food and how important food is, and they were saying that people take the time to have an opinion and express it.
yeah,
And that also goes to about films that people see. They'll have an opinion and they'll express it and they'll discuss
yeah.
it. Even if you're not an expert, as long as you've got an opinion, it's okay to discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to food and that, the last restaurant we ate at when we were working, when we came out, the two guys I was with, there was the head technician, me, and another guy, and they on the way back to the van, so from the restaurant to the van, they were discussing how good the meal was. They really do talk about it, and they really do have the food is so important, and they do talk about how good it is, and they will pick somewhere. If it wasn't good, they'll go somewhere else for sure. So it's very strange how important the food is to them. Really important. And there's another myth as well. Everyone says that the French take their time, like they just stretch it out and all that sort of stuff. That is not my experience. All the people I work with eat like they're in prison, and someone's going to take it from them.
Yeah,
For sure. Absolutely. I'm always the last one to finish my food, and I'm eating what I would consider quick.
yeah.
But they're smashing it, literally.
I remember some American clients was talking about the difference between British and Americans, and because this particular client, it was his first time in the UK, in London, and so when I picked him up at the end of his trip to take him back to the airport, I said, what do you think? He said, well, the beer is really strong, isn't it? I said, yeah.
Sure.
British beer is quite strong compared to American beer. It's strong.
Right. Really?
Yeah, they've been to France, have they?
Oh my God, no.
But he said that British people drink like someone's going to take it away.
Yeah, and it's the same with French with food. And in fact, the head technician I was working with, he goes, look, he even apologized. He said, I eat like that all the time. He says, you take your time. But that's fine. But when you're new at the job and he's sat there and it's just being him at a table, it's just like, I can't eat this fast.
Stuff it in fast enough.
And he's looking around like this.
That's funny.
It's funny. And they're all nice people, but I mean, just the social difference is massive, really massive. They they really place a really, I don't know, elevated. I don't know what to say really. They really rate the food. It's really important.
You know what's curious is when you go to the supermarket, compared to the UK, you can buy anything in a can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Any vegetable you can possibly think of, you can buy it in a can.
you can.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And fish as well, like mackerel, sardines, like.
Oh yeah, stacks of them. Yeah. But and I think we mentioned this before that curiously the vegetable selection is relatively limited, but it's always really fresh. It doesn't last 2 minutes.
No.
It doesn't last 2 minutes, but it's always really fresh.
Yeah.
As long as you use it on the day or the next day, it's fantastic. But I think that's because they use suppliers in that area, don't they?
Yeah, they do actually, and it's quite nice to see. Also, where I live in the village is a farm shop, but it's an automated one. So they have like loads of
Yeah, you said about it. Yeah, brilliant.
with loads of fresh farm stuff in.
Mm.
And recently I bought some honey from it, and it's pure honey, not mixed with sugar or anything like that. It's absolutely amazing.
I bet.
Direct from the beekeepers. It's amazing.
It's a bit like your olive oil, isn't it?
I'm very lucky on that.
Yes, I do.
For sure.
Good.
So I think we're probably
Yeah.
about an hour in.
Probably wrap it up there.
So hold on.
Go on.
This was completely off the cuff.
Yeah.
We had something else planned for today.
Yeah. Loads of research.
Yeah. Next week. So I hope you'll join us for that.
Yeah.
It won't be anything like today. It'd be
a bit more polished,
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We do our best anyway.
Yeah. They watch it.
Sorry, go on.
They watch the program here probably for your looks and my knowledge, or my looks and your. I don't know. One of them two. Neither.
Good. All right. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did, and I can't believe that I've been sitting there for 5 hours. Yeah. If you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content, and maybe share it on your socials. Maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And all that leaves to say is it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.